in my opinion, one of the most important things. Central risk management for top management is very important. So it has one view on the whole risks of the company, not like 3, 4, 5 different risk dashboards, and how to map the risks, how you can have a same level of severity if it's not centralized. It's very hard. So the topic is mastering regulatory complexity with the VamiSec-IMS Framework. IMS stands for Integrated Management System. So how companies can manage NIS2, DORA, AI Act, Cyber Resilience Act, GDPR, and in an integrated manner. So you have a lot of similar requirements within the regulations and within contractual requirements also. For example, in the automotive field, we have the TISAX standard, where you have also information security requirements which were quite similar, and in the end the companies are struggling right now heavily in Germany and in the EU also in general with all the different requirements which are popping up from IT security and AI compliance perspective. And this is why we have developed this framework, the VamiSec-IMS framework, to manage all these different and complex requirements from regulatory and contractual perspective. And that's why also we have listed here below the different standards, so we can use the standards to meet the requirements on the one side, and also use the standards for the integration of the consolidated controls. So to identify exactly within the standards which control we can easily map to each other, easily create synergies, consolidate in one control, so we don't have, for example, 3 risk management procedures for AI, for Cyber Resilience Act, for NIS2, for example, but only one risk management procedure, one risk management policy, and roles and responsibilities, and then we can create the synergies with this approach. And short to say, we are a member of Bitkom and BitMe, and ourselves also certified according ISO 27001. And freshly we have launched the landing page with the white paper. You can check this link within the QR code. And welcome again to this webinar. So the topic is today, we look a little bit in the different regulations which we have from regulatory and contractual perspective also. So from contractual perspective, we have other types of requirements like TISAX, like VS NFD for the German government, for example. And then we look also into this framework, how it works, how we map and use the management systems, use the standards for the different management systems like ISO 27001, 42001, etc., to create an integrated management system. So the standards are the instruments to our goal for the integrated management system. Yeah, just few words to us, VamiSec. So we are a consulting company with focus on IT security and compliance, including AI compliance. And we are acting in different industries. So in the mostly in the regulated industries. So nowadays it's not a big thing, as almost all industries are regulated. But we're coming from the banking industry, insurance, so financial industry, defense, also in the critical infrastructures like energy companies, pharma, hospitals, and that's our core focus. So the regulation and supporting companies who are regulated within IT security and compliance. And yeah, we have different experts, certified experts, ISO 27001 lead auditors, 42001 lead auditors, and also in different specific standards like BSI, IT Baseline Protection, BSI IT Grundschutz in German, NIS2, Cyber Resilience Act, experts, etc. Yeah, so we have expertise in the IT security, in the technical topics, but also in the GRC topics. So like penetration testing, application security, secure software development lifecycle, security by default, so all that stuff which is relevant by Cyber Resilience Act, for example. And then also in the GRC field, all the topics which we're talking about here right now. Of course, we also offer virtual CISOs, so external responsibilities for information security, or AI officer, external AI officer. And this also as a managed service, long-term managed service. All right, so today's agenda is first we have a look into the objective of this webinar, and then we deep dive a little bit in the regulations and contractual requirements, and then we see why this is not the best thing to do this approach with a silo, so with individual projects per regulation. Like this is what companies doing for the moment, mostly at least, and done this in the past. So for GDPR a project, for NIS2 a project, individual projects and silos with all the different requirements and things. For AI Act, an individual project to implement individual gap analysis, but this can all be integrated. And then we have a quick look into the Vami IMS framework. So it will be only a quick overview, not too deep. So we have within the Vami IMS framework also 25 identified integrated controls, which are the really good integratable, and where the most synergies can be created. But we won't deep dive too deep into this individual controls. This will be part of the next webinars. So we will do different series of this webinar. So yeah, stay updated. We will also upload this webinar in our YouTube channel, so you can watch this later also on YouTube. We have this done already in German, now in English. And so why this topic is relevant for the board level, so for the top management. All the regulations are focusing on the board level. So in the end, the main responsibility is at the top management, on C-level. CEO is responsible to being compliant in the end. I mean, of course, he can have some additional responsibilities, define a CISO, define an AI officer who can support, but the main responsibility lasts at the CEO and at the board level. That's why it's very important also for the top management to understand the key obligations which they have, and to act accordingly and create a good compliance approach, which doesn't produce too much costs and creates in the end competition benefit according to companies who are doing this as a silo. So yeah, as I mentioned, we have two types of requirements in the end. We have regulatory requirements, which come from the EU regulation, in the EU at least, also from national regulations, which are mostly derived from the EU regulation, like NIS2. And then we have on the other side also contractual requirements. So from the supply chain perspective, for example, automotive, we have TISAX, and we have Also customer audits for companies who are really taking care about their suppliers, so they want to audit their suppliers. And then we have different questionnaires, and we have also obligations from the supply chain, which came up directly with the regulation. So, for example, in the DORA, if you're identified by a financial company as a critical ICT provider, then you can be also be directly target of the DORA regulation. So this is because of all the regulatory requirements, all the regulations in the information security field. They have a heavy, big focus on the supply chain, and so from the regulatory requirements, also the supply chain becomes more relevant. And this all you have to manage in the end. Yeah, the best way to manage is to integrate this in an integrated management system. All the different requirements to have central governance, central risk management, central controls, procedures, policies. You have the evidences and audits also centralized. You can even do combi audits, and yeah, this is the best way to for long term, especially to be secure and compliant and reduce costs and manage it, especially from top management perspective. You have also one view on all your compliance. Yeah, this is the most relevant regulatory topics right now, which we are facing, at least at the moment, with our core focus. I mean, in the future, we'll see how this will develop, and I guess it's not the end of the situation. In 10 years, I think the situation will be much different. So maybe new regulations, updates, NIS2 or whatever can. And this is also why you have to prepare for long term. So not just like creating now a good project, establishing NIS2 compliance, but you have a real framework for the integrated management system, so that you are open for future regulations. And yeah, just a quick few words according to the regulations. We have the NIS2, so it's for the regulation for important and essential entities from the EU as a directive, and now we have the German implementation law came into force on 6th December, which implements the NIS2 directive with almost, I would say, all requirements covered by the NIS2 directive, just few adjustments, like we have also in Germany critical infrastructures. We have the BSI as a central governance body in Germany, and we have also detailed recommendations of BSI for the top management training. But yeah, otherwise it's quite straightforward implementation of the NIS2 directive, and with all the standard requirements, like you have to have a clear governance from top management perspective, clear responsibilities. You have to train the top management. You have to have risk management, authentication, incident management, authentication including MFA. You have to have a proper business continuity and disaster recovery plan. Supply chain security you have to take care of. Vulnerability management, cryptography, training, awareness is also a very relevant one. And of course, you have to document all that stuff, what you're doing. And you can do this implementation with the ISO 27001 in a good way, in a standardized way, and being compliant. And same then for the DORA. So for the financial industry, it's a little bit different from the focus. So DORA is focusing the financial industry and having also more focus on the resilience. So also that you're not only focusing so much on the preventive controls, but also on the reactive controls. So very strong focus on business continuity, resilience, and so on and so forth. And it means also, for example, you have to check your controls more. That is not enough to have a vulnerability management and so on, but you have also to do a threat-led penetration test, for example, which we also offer, by the way. So a threat-led penetration test to really on threat perspective, check your resilience, check the security of your IT system, of your processes, of your people, implementations, technical and organizational controls. So the key applications are not too far away from this two, I would say, just the level is completely different, so it's much more fine granular. So we have also here the clear management responsibility. So top management is responsible for everything, as in NIS2, as in DORA and Cyber Resilience Act, and so on, AI Act. So risk management is also relevant here, incident management. So same thing in the end, more focus on digital resilience, threat-led penetration testing as a special thing. Third-party risk management, supply chain is also here very important. You can even be target of the DORA regulation as a third-party, critical third-party supplier. So this is what I mentioned. It's a little bit special here. And then you have also to manage all the documentations. And so DORA is built up, you can say, on three levels overall. The DORA obligations, we have the DORA, the Act, the law. Then we have the different additional documents. So the regulatory technical standards, RTS documents, for example, for risk management. So for third-party risk management. So these are, so to say, level 2 documents, which specifies more in deep the requirements. And then we have the implementing technical standards, the ITS documents. You can say it's level 3. So these are really implementation approaches, recommendations, which are also a good way to implement the requirements. And we have the EU AI Act, so which are focusing more on the ethics and risks of AI systems and AI use cases, which you have in your company. I think there is almost no company existing which has no AI in use. At least I didn't saw one in the last few years. So every company uses AI, and that's why also every company is a scope of the AI Act, and this is very important to understand. I mean, the AI Act is focusing more with requirements on the high-risk AI system. The low-risk or the limited risk AI systems are quite good manageable, but especially the high-risk AI system, there must be a proper risk management implemented, and audits of the AI systems must be performed, logging monitoring must be in place. So overall, it's also very important to take care according to the requirements which came up within the AI. And the AI Act covers also not only the AI solution providers, but also the operators. So all companies who are just using AI are also AI Act target, so scope of the AI Act. So we have here also the same thing. We have the AI governance, or top management responsibility governance. We have to provide the proper roles, responsibilities according to AI. We have to have risk management in place, human oversight, data governance, technical robustness. Here also the security is in there. So for example, if you do a pen test of an application, of an AI application, this would be targeting the AI Act, but also the according NIS2 and DORA and so on, and the ISO standards. So you have here a similar, a good synergy. So if you're doing testing, you're also covering different regulations and requirements. And then we have transparency obligations, which is, by the way, also an obligation in China. So in China, the AI systems are also obligated. So all AI systems must have a proper transparency. So it means you have to make sure that the user knows that it's an AI. And then we have also the logging traceability of the AI applications, and yeah, post-market monitoring, incident reporting, incident management is yours also included, and conformity assessments. So this is here the same conformity assessments as in the Cyber Resilience Act. So we have also to take care about conformity of especially of the high risk products, and here of the high risk AI systems. Yeah, and that's here we are in the Cyber Resilience Act already. So we have the upcoming regulation in the EU for all companies who are producing products with digital elements. So this can be software, hardware products, apps, for example. Every iOS, Android app is a digital element. Of course, every IoT device, this is the main target, I would say. So this the classic product with digital element is like an IoT system. So it's a hardware with software and with the API behind, and the whole landscape with the API and the hardware and the software, the whole landscape of the product is part and target of the Cyber Resilience Act. And so you have different obligations according secure product lifecycle, and it's required for you to implement all the controls if you want to sell it in the EU market. So also for companies, of course, outside the EU, it's applicable if you want and have also the CE label on your product. Yeah, and the main obligations are product security development lifecycle, security by design, security by default. So it means you have to build your product with a secure architecture. So that this means you have to look at risks in your architecture, in your design, and mitigate the risks and design it properly. So according to the risk level, for example, if you have a high security product like a smart meter gateway or something like that, a secure firewall, of course you have higher obligations than you have, for example, let's say just an IoT device which controls the lighting in the house. Okay, it's also relevant, but not as critical as a smart meter gateway, for example. And yeah, so they have to implement a product secure life cycle development, and then also incident management, vulnerability management you have to implement. And if you have a proper or not a proper, but an upcoming attack on your device, so you have to detect it and also report incidents. Report it. You have the same obligations of reporting as in NIS2 or DORA. So with the 24 hours reporting obligation after recognizing the incidents. So in DORA you have even a shorter time frame with 4 hours, but here it's 24 hours. And also very big focus again on the supply chain. Here also software supply chain. So not only the suppliers you have to manage, but also the components. So this is why you have to have to manage the SBOM, the software bill of materials, so you know all your components of your software. But in the end, not only software, also hardware components, so hardware bill of materials. And if you have AI components, then it's also in the end an AI bill of material, and so an AI bomb in the end. And yeah, so this is what's required by the CRA. So here is the timeline. Just quick, so we have NIS2 is already come into force, also in Germany. Then we have the AI Act obligations, which we come into force, the most part at least this year in August and 26, and then the rest of the high risk AI requirements in 27. And the Cyber Resilience Act, the reporting obligations for incidents will come into force on the 11th of this, September, and the full applicability in end of December, so 11th December 27. And what happens if you're not compliant? So and you're not compliant and also maybe not secure. So you have not only the regulatory maybe fees or fines, so to say. So you can have trouble with regulations. You can have high. You can be fined quite high. So what we know from GDPR, there is this GDPR enforcement tracker, and yeah, so the GDPR enforcement tracker, which is shows that the fines can be also like 9 figures, so can be easily reach like billions. At least for bigger companies, these are several percentages, typically from the turnover, from the global turnover of the company. And then we have the financial also risks. So as you're, for example, getting a ransomware attack, you cannot produce anymore. So this means not only like the regulatory risks, but you have also real financial risks within your company yourself, operational risks. Maybe according Cyber Resilience Act or AI Act, you have to put your product out of the market. You're not allowed to sell it anymore in the EU, or according the AI Act, the AI solution, if it's not compliant. And so if it's a big, at least a problem with your solution, small problem, it will not directly lead to this outage of the market, but a big one could do. And of course you have also reputational risks and so on, so loss of trusts. And but this is not the most important thing if you do it in a fragmented way. So that like you have an NIS2 project, as I mentioned, the DORA project, Cyber Resilience Act project. So this is like you have silos. It's not only that you are not compliant, so it's more difficult to be compliant. It's also that you have much more costs due to redundancy. You have redundant processes, redundant systems, maybe you have like an ISMS tool, then you have an AIMS tool, and then you have for GDPR maybe an Excel-based management system for the data privacy for the PIMS. And then you have also redundant risk assessments. Maybe the risk assessments are also not consistent, so you have because you have like 3 different risk assessments for the same assets, but from different views. And then you have completely asynchronous inventories of risks, of assets, and you have also no central view from the management perspective. So you have like different reportings, different dashboards, and then you also have a lack of transparency. And this all, I mean, it makes it clear it must integrate it. And in the end, what all the regulations also needs are or requires are risk-based controls. So you have also always this approach as a main topic, as a central topic within all regulations. We have the management responsibility and clear roles, governance. This is a clear and synchronized requirement between all regulations. Continuous improvement, so it's not only a one-time project, so it's in the end requires a management system, so it must have in place a continuous improvement. You have to prove everything, of course, if you're getting an audit, being audited, and you have to implement and document all the guidelines, policies, and procedures. This is also quite straightforward within all regulations and standards, as we know also from ISO 27001, for example. And yeah, so I think this topic we already covered. So what happens if you don't do this in an integrated way? We have separate programs for NIS2, for DORA, for AI Act. We have redundancy, high costs, and insufficient cooperations also. Maybe we have, like, the teams are acting not together, doing the projects not together. We have all the procedures are going a little bit asynchronous, and also providing a lot of stress with audits, because then we're just doing audits all the time, audits for this, and have to prepare everything very comprehensively, and takes a lot of time to prepare an audit, as you know. And yeah, here we can create synergies. So, for example, on the left side with the regulations, on the right side with the contractual requirements, and implement everything integrated. And what we use for an integration is the integrated management system, which integrates all the different management systems logically. And so, for example, for NIS2, DORA, and we use, or TISAX, we can use an information security management system. For the AI Act, we can use an AI management system, or for Cyber Resilience Act, a cybersecurity management system. For GDPR, we can use privacy information management system. Then we can also, in addition, use a business continuity management system, especially important for DORA, for the resilience focus. And yeah, maybe we have also already a quality management system. I mean, why not to integrate this also in our integrated management system? So we have all in one. So all the management systems in one place in an integrated management system. This is the idea behind. And so with the goal from going from the silo management systems into consolidation, central risk management. In my opinion, one of the most important things, central risk management for governance, not for governance, for top management, is very important. So it has one view on the whole risks of the company, not like 3, 4, 5 different risk dashboards, and how to map the risks, how you can have a same level of severity. If it's not centralized, it's very hard to have a centralized view on the risks if it's not centralized. And then we have also the central management responsibility and governance and roles. And yeah, then we are also prepared on a sustainable level for the long-term compliance. And also why we need this to use these management systems and the standards behind is because, so what was also the idea from the Vami IMS framework is it's really hard. So once we started with NIS2 projects, with AI projects, with DORA projects, with GDPR and Cyber Resilience Act, also now more and more companies start to work on it. So when we're starting and started to work on this different regulations, we recognize that it's very hard to build bridges in between. So as you see here, all the with a metaphor, so all the connections that doesn't fit to each other. Maybe here a little bit NIS2 and DORA, but otherwise the similar. So it's really hard to integrate them without using a proper management system and a proper standard. But if you use a standard, for example, for implementation of NIS2 and DORA 27001, then you can integrate it quite easy with AI Act if you use for AI Act the 42001 standard. So then it becomes more and more manageable to integrate the clauses and controls. So the standards in the end are a helper, a bridge builder for the integration, which is relevant for our integrated management system. And that's why we developed this approach, this framework, to go from regulation and contractual requirements, look which management systems are applicable and fits to the specific regulation. For Cyber Resilience Act, for example, Cyber Security Management System. Here, the most common standards are IEC 62443 or SAE 21434 for the vehicles. And then we can map these standards between each other quite easily, I would say, and build up our integrated management system. And this is so the full framework now, but in the end, it's what I've said. So we have different requirements. We have here the regulatory requirements, but also contractual requirements. Map them within the management systems to the right standards. Then, if we have all the relevant standards and controls and clauses from the standards there, we map them to each other. So we have consolidated processes and procedures with one central governance, and have, for example, central compliance management, policies and procedures are mapped. We have asset risk management is consolidated, incident management is consolidated, third-party management is consolidated. We have combined audits, so this is also a big benefit. So as you, for example, don't do 5 audits per year, but only 1 or maybe 2, depending on what audit company you use. So the audit companies supports more and more combined audits. And so this is a big benefit. And the result is, if you use the Vami IMS framework, is you are also ready to create additional competitive benefit if you, for example, get an ISO certification. So as you are used the dedicated standards within the management system, you're ready for getting a certification, right? So that means you can easily now getting certified with a combined audit. So you can get certified as an ISO 27001 company with a scope. I mean, maybe you can have a definition of scope, which you can derive what you need. But in the end, you are ready to get certified according to different standards. You can get a ISO 42001 certification in addition, and create more trust. And also to easy up. So the certification is a real benefit. So it's a game changer in my opinion. So it creates trust. It's much easier to communicate your compliance because how you communicate the compliance according to DORA to your customers. You have to provide all your documents, maybe not the best way. You have to answer a bunch of questionnaires every time. If you have like hundreds of customers, you have to answer hundreds of questionnaires. Also hard work. But here, if you are certified, you can provide a certification. And if in the certification, also the scope is completely targeting all the different regulations, so then you have also much more process with communicating of your compliance. And this is in the end the main benefit. So you have easier way to communicate and report compliance. You have clear evidence. You have the possibility to perform combined audits. You have central risk management, central view on risk, central governance, and you are prepared also for one of the most important things is you are prepared for the future. So it's not just a one-time project and next time new project, but you have one framework which is ready for future, can be upgraded with new requirements. And in short, the quick overview of the process. It's we have on the first side different regulations which we map again to the management systems, right? So the NIS2 for ISMS, DORA we map to ISMS and BCMS. Yeah, I would say optionally BCMS. It's have just a little bit more focus on business continuity. You can of course do it all optionally also for NIS2. Then we have the AI Act. We use the AI management system, Cyber Resilience Act, Cyber Security Management System, GDPR. We use Privacy Information Management System, and then we map the standards, the management systems to the standards, and then derive the synergies between the clauses and controls and requirements of the standards. So map the standards between each other, and the result is the integrated management system. And then we have only one work. Also, what I want to say, it's not here right now, but in the end, we can even have consolidated gap analysis. So right now you do gap analysis for this, gap analysis for this, gap analysis for this, and then you have maybe 3 roadmaps, 3 action plans based on the gap analysis. We have 1 gap analysis for NIS2, then maybe later you have gap analysis and roadmap for AI Act, maybe for Cyber Resilience Act, and all different gap analysis and action plans. This you can also do 1 gap analysis, 1 interview. So it would save also internal costs. You have only 1 interview with the procurement, 1 interview with the HR, 1 interview with the IT. So you do 1 interview and doing a gap analysis also in an integrated manner. So I mean, if you have all the requirements, you can select the right one, what you need for your individual integrated management system, and then you have also directly at the start the efficiency in place. Start with the gap analysis, you have directly the efficiency. So we have already performed the consolidated gap analysis with NIS2, AI Act, and Cyber Resilience Act. And here is the full overview again with the most relevant regulations and the standards. So I would say we're quite good here. Maybe here in a quick way, so how to do it in the end. So we have the NIS2 obligations on the left side of the table, and then we have the mapping how to implement with the ISO 27001. So I mean, it's clear, everyone knows it, who is diving into this topic. You can use 27001 to get NIS2 compliance, to become NIS2 compliant. And on the other side, if you have been already certified and compliant according ISO 27001, so then it's also an easy way to get NIS2 compliance, right? So you just need maybe some additional stuff. You have to check the scope. You have to implement the NIS2 incident management process. So with a time in a timely manner, 24 hours reporting obligations to BSI in Germany, or in other government bodies in other countries. So just a few things to add to become NIS2 compliant if you are already 27001 compliant or certified even. And then on the other side also, if you have implemented NIS2, you can easily go to 27001 compliance, and this is how we do this. So this mapping is this step, the first step. Then same thing what we can do for DORA for 27001 and BCMS 22301. So map also all the controls and procedures from the DORA obligations, DORA requirements. We look into the specific clauses and controls of the standards, and here just some examples. Management responsibilities and governance we can map to the standards. Risk management we have of course also in the standards included. We have asset management also in the standards included. Identity and access management, logging and monitoring. So in the end, all the requirements you can see here. Third-party risk management also of course is part of the standard, and so in the end we can quite easy map the DORA requirements into the standards. And also the standards are quite open. So it's not that we have a really minimalistic customization within the standards. So yes, all the ISO standards, they are from nature very open, so you can easily implement all DORA requirements within the ISO standards, all NIS2 requirements according to ISO standards, and all Cyber Resilience Act requirements into the ISO standards. So the ISO standards are typically from nature are open, so you can use them to fulfill all requirements of the regulation. Here we have done the same for AI Act according to the ISO 42001 standard for the AI management system. So we have here also clear logging, monitoring, for example, as a requirement for AI Act, or the technical documentation is also here in the ISO 42001 standard. Risk management, of course, it's the core of all management system standards. Proper risk management is everywhere. So this we can map easily, and you see here more similarities also within the standards now. If we check this controls and clauses with the other ones, so we see also more and more synergies right now. But if we compare the laws, it's really hard to identify the synergies. But if we compare the standards, it's easy to find the synergies, and that is why we use this approach. Using the management system standards to create the integration, the integrated management system. Here we map then the 42001 standard according 27001 standard, and you see here on clause level it's exactly the same, with just another focus, but in the end same approach, same what we can use, and can create the consolidated processes and policies even. We can create one policy for this stuff, and one procedure, and have maybe also consolidated roles. So we don't have to have one role for as an AI risk manager for the asset and IT risk manager for the same asset, but we have only one risk manager for the asset, for example. And so here we have on control level the mapping. Here we have on clause level the mapping, right? And this is how we do it. And the result of these mappings is then the main integration part. These are like our main identified integrable controls. At least if you look at ISMS, CSMS, the Cybersecurity Management System, AI Management System, and PIMS, Privacy Management System. If we look into these four management systems, which is also our core expertise, I guess, in quality management system, you can also identify good synergies. But the framework is quite open, as you see already. We can integrate here QMS and environmental management system in the end, also 14001. But here for this four, the main controls are here governance and policies. So we have central policies. For policies, I can show you later a quick example. Central management accountability, risk management, project integration, very important. You integrate data privacy, AI compliance, and security into projects, very important. So because from the project you have to manage all the risks and AI risks, cybersecurity risks, and so on, supplier risks. You have to manage within projects. So, for example, if you build a new AI system, right? So, and the AI system is also built within a supplier, an ICT service provider, for example, who develops also part of the AI system. Then we have AI Act obligations in place. We have and NIS2 or DORA obligations, depending on what industry we are in. We have also, according to Cyber Resilience Act, we have Cyber Resilience Act obligations if this product will be sold in EU later. And then we have to integrate all these different obligations in the project. So, and we have one project process where we cover all topics together. And yeah, then it's asset management, data management, data classification, also within AI, very important, data protection, also from different perspectives, logging and monitoring, incident management, so one incident management process which covers all obligations, also emergency management, disaster recovery processes, crisis management, all that stuff. We have also only one training concept, so one training plan, one training concept for all, not five or more. Supplier management, supplier security, vulnerability management, operational resilience, also very important, can integrate. And yeah, this in short, overall, we have right now to identify 25. So here is a full list, which are quite good integratable. So 25 controls. I mean, in the end, it's up to you what's relevant for you, what's not relevant, and this is a little bit also dynamically, individually, but this is from our experience what you can, if all four types of management systems are relevant, this is quite good to integrate. And yeah, what is the benefit? I think it's quite clear. You have a consolidated view on the compliance and on the risks from top management. You have also easier to ensure that you are compliant, because it's also easier to manage to be compliant. And as you know, I mean, we can all be 100% compliant if we have infinite amount of budget and resources, but no one have it. So it's also harder to be in general compliant. Not only that you are able to be compliant, but also it's from budget perspective manageable, and you can focus on the real important things. I mean, you can focus not only on the pure compliance stuff, so to say, but also if you have enough budget, you can focus on mitigating the risks even further, because it's all about risk management, right? So, and if you have only a limited amount of budget, you take care about the pure compliance stuff, but then you don't take about the real security stuff, real risk mitigations, because all your budget is left for the compliance stuff. And it's not the same at the end here. I mean, you can target compliance, which you have to, because you don't want to be non-compliant. It's not a good idea to be non-compliant. But if you have no budget left for the real risk mitigations and security, and getting attacked by ransomware attack, then it's also not a good thing. And but if you have not enough money to manage the risk mitigations properly, then the probability to getting a ransomware attack is much higher, right? So, and that is why we have also, in the end, reduced risk, reduce effort, combined audit, scalable. So for future, you're ready to improve. And here is the roadmap, how to start with the implementation of a Vami IMS framework and master regulatory and contractual compliance. Is first start with looking what is relevant for you. So what is the scope? What is the impact of regulations and contractual requirements? So what do you need in the end? The applicability of regulations, and also involving the contractual requirements. Then you enable the management, so you can, from top management perspective, you have a clear view and to start the project. Commitment from the management is very important. I think it's not difficult to get the commitment, as it's clear. The benefits are clear here, and so And also, it's a very important for NIS2 and DORA and AI Act and so on and so forth, as the top management is mainly responsible. So this is the second step. And then you start with a gap analysis. So the integrated gap analysis, you don't do one gap, 3 to 4 or 5 gap analysis, but only one gap analysis. I mean, maybe step 2 and 3, I mean, depend individually. Maybe you can exchange also. But in the end, I would say this is a good way. Then you have the consolidated action plan. You have the integration concept. The integration concept consists of this mapping of the relevant standards and controls to create an integrated management system concept. And then you go with the implementation. You have the enablement training, only one training plan, as I mentioned. That all employees knows their roles within the different obligations and standards. And then you go with the audit process. Maybe you can get even a certification at the end. This is optionally, and then you're in the improvement process. Okay, so I would say it's good. We are almost done for now. Not to dive too deep, as I mentioned. Only one thing I will show you today. So the policy structure from within the Vami IMS framework. So we have thought about how to manage the documentation from the integrated management system, and the best way in the end. You have each management system, and for the let's say regulation also. For the ISMS, according ISO 27001, NIS2, DORA, TISAX here in that case, you have one dedicated policy, a high-level policy, strategic policy. So the strategic policy is per management system. Per ISMS, for example, you have one. Then you have for AIMS also one high-level management policy. Then for the cybersecurity management system, for the product security, you have one strategic policy. And for GDPR, you have also one strategic policy. So these policies are high-level policies, strategic policies we would keep separate. But then the topic-specific policy, which are within the integrated management system, so which are like, for example, part of this controls, so on control level, on topic level. So these policies are, of course, then integrated. So you have one risk management policy and one risk management process. So like a SOP, standard operating procedure, or process description, or operational handbook, or whatever, how you name it, a work instruction. So these are integrated, these topic-specific policies and procedures. Asset management, only one asset management policy. Third-party risk, only one third-party risk management policy, right? So, and the procedures and the implementations, of course. Anyway, so the implementations, of course, you have only one implementation then for a project. For example, if we have these are just some examples, right? So this, for example, if we have a project management policy from compliance perspective, so we have also one policy which describes we have to take care within projects from AI perspective. So we have to check if it's an AI project, to check the AI risk level according to the AI Act, check whether we are a provider or operator of the AI solution. Then we check from security perspective the business impact analysis of the project, the risks of the project, and then we have the measures. Right. So, and this we would describe in one project management policy. Yeah. So this specific topics are then completely integrated, and this is the main part of the documentation, as we know. I mean, here strategic policies we have only. In that case, we would have 4. Right? Typically, we have only 1 or 2. So this is not a big thing here to separate the strategic policies, but the most benefit will be created if you integrate the topic-specific policies. And this is the approach from the documentation of the policy structure within the Vami IMS framework. This is for today the quick overview about Vami IMS framework. And as I mentioned, it will be a series of webinars where we will deep dive into different topics. Also more in the implementation point of view, tooling here and there, and stay updated. In YouTube, we will upload this video, also the future ones. So would be also very helpful for you, and I would also appreciate if you would subscribe on YouTube, stay updated, and see you in the next webinar. Bye. Have a nice Sunday together, and thanks.